What was the cringiest thing you did in your first relationship? UHG. Me and my first boyfriend, being around 13 years old, had no idea how to kiss. Our first maquillade consisted of us just licking each other's tongues with our eyes wide open, staring at each other. We did this in public. I will never forget the day an upperclassman laughed at us and said, "Dude, close your eyes." He didn't actually break up with me, he just ghosted me. I didn't want to admit it, so I was like, yeah, we're still dating. I just haven't heard from him in like a month. I was 16. Ate rivergrass straight from the water on a canoe ride because I thought he'd be impressed. Somehow. I die inside thinking about it now. His mother was there. This is my favorite. I can just imagine his family members occasionally bringing it up years later. Remember when John dated that girl who ate grass? We were walking down a hallway and his hand kept brushing mine, so I assumed he wanted to hold hands. Tried to grab his hand and got swatted away. That's not too bad, right? Well, I tried a second and a third time in the span of 30 seconds. It was during high school when I sewed a tiny rabbit plushie with her name on it for our first anniversary. Long story, she broke up with me that day and still I tried to give it to her. Later at the end of the day, she returned the plushie in my locker. The way we talked on Facebook. My god, every now and then I get a memory on Facebook and want to gag. Plus talk about marriage and kids and shoot. I was 15. Our hormones outweighed our consciences, and we had sex under a blanket on a couch like 3 feet from some of our friends. We tried to move as little as possible to give the impression that we were just cuddling, but I don't think anyone was fooled, because all of our friends got up and moved to another room. They left the door open though, and could still see us. Didn't matter, we just hit frick it, and, well, fricked loudly. I haven't spoken to those people in a long time. Not the cringiest, but up there. We were probably 14 to 15 and didn't know how making out worked exactly, so we tried making out with our eyes open, full eye contact. It still gives me the heebie-jeebies. Had my first relationship with a girl when I was 12. Our relationship consisted of mostly hanging out at school and talking on the phone. Then we planned a date to the movies, which everyone in 8th grade knows mean going on for a kiss. I was incredibly nervous, so I asked my older brother, older by a year, how to kiss. He assured me all I had to do was spell out the alphabet with my tongue. So we go to see the movie, and after I lay on the already cringe yawn to arm around her, I go in for the kiss. I fervently started tracing ABCD. She pulled away around F and didn't say another word in the movie or on the car ride home when my mom picked us up. She broke up with me the day after. Gave a girl a CD with a single song on it, Falling For You by Student Rick, and a long note describing how the music expressed my feelings. Did not label the CD. Also happened to burn a Bad Religion CD the same night. Did not label this CD either. Got mad at girl when she told me she only got to listen to the first half of the CD. What the hell? There was only one track. She didn't even listen to it. Guess what I heard when I put in my Bad Religion CD? Logging into each other's Facebooks to post stupid shit. For example, it'd post from his account something along the lines of OMGFJSGK is the best GF in the world, I love her so much, and all of our high school friends thought it was funny. Also generally oversharing too much online, from me being mad at him to me gushing about how great he was. I turned on Facebook memory notifications a year or two ago, so I could meticulously comb through my Facebook posts day by day and purge the years of embarrassment from my account. Edit. Typus. Let him go swimming with his ex and her family. He invited me, but I can tell he didn't want me to come. I was fresh 18, and he was my first boyfriend, so I didn't stand up for myself. Cut to a few weeks later. I come home, yes, we were living together and his ex is in our bed. He swears she was on the couch when he left. It was a long shift, so I told him to just wake her up and have her move to the couch. She left in an angry, tear-filled rage. I stayed with him. When he admitted he got a hotel with her, he said it was before me, but I think he was lying, and had sex with her, then threw the key card at her and left because he needed to have sex with her one last time. He said it was to make sure he was over her, but to also punish her for cheating on him. Man, that whole relationship was cringe. I was so naive. Wasn't my first, but first serious. I was dating a Turkish girl for a month or so, and her mother came to visit from Turkey. The mother spoke no English. The three of us went to eat at a restaurant. Possibly because I was nervous or possibly because I needed to express my sense of humor amongst all of the foreign Turkish conversation. I slipped down on one knee and raised my hands, as if proposing marriage to my girlfriend. Both of them took the bait for a second, eyes wide in shock. And then I popped back into my chair and chuckled. Just kidding. Created a shared MySpace account where we posted how in love we were. Also I saved every wrapper from the condom we used. Used Mladi unironically. Me getting mad about her sexual past. I ruined the relationship with the most amazing woman just cause I couldn't handle that she liked people before me. I cringe when I think about it now, cause now I have had a fair amount of partners and think the complete opposite now. Broke up with her by sending her the lyrics to All I Do Is Win before blocking her on Mxit chat app and high-fiving my brothers. I was 15. I played Pop Goes the Weasel on the piano over the phone. Or 3-page version of it. He broke up with me through a friend a week later. Jealousy. Oh boy, the jealousy and amount of it. Most regrettable and cringy thing I did was after our breakup where we decided to stay friends and even had a laugh at a McDonald's before she went home to her place and I was going to mine. Fast forward 10 minutes and I was taking the bus over to her place, listening to sad songs on the way and thinking I'd win her heart back by confronting her outside her house. Shit still makes me cringe. Glad I matured from that. You see kids, you can't do cringy things in a relationship if you have never been in one. I was 17 over 18 at the time and that prefect mix of insecure and jealous. I used to freak out if I ever thought he was looking at pronoun/other girls. The worst was when I found a panty shot in one of his mangas. My ridiculous tantrum was so bad he threw out his entire manga collection, which was large and something he really loved. I still feel bad about it to this day. Eventually I realized how toxic that kind of behavior is. For a relationship, and just in general. I got so mad at my first boyfriend when I saw pictures from a party where he was theater kissing, when you hold your thumb between each other's mouths, but it looks like you're really kissing another guy as a goofball joke. I knew he wasn't really kissing him, but I freaked out anyways, because I thought people would think he was gay and think he no longer loved me. I remember calling him and sobbing over it. It was full-blown psycho. I got to use Han Solo's line. I once held out my hand to her and she said my hands are dirty, and without skipping a beat, I said my hands are dirty too. What are you afraid of? I thought I was cool. I was not. Edit. Hehe. Thanks for the support, guys. I was mortified as a teenager because I was under the impression that cute girls didn't like Star Wars. I was very wrong. I just didn't know it until about a decade later. XD. Not my first, but the girl I'm with now. I asked if I could bite her tits in our first conversation. Standing outside the movie theater after seeing something, laughing and joking around. I was much taller than her and she jokingly made like she was going to spit up at me, so I jokingly made like I was going to spit down at her. Only it didn't turn out to be a joke. I launched a huge gob right down between her eyes. We dated for 5 years after that. This was during my first year of high school, so my first real high school girlfriend. I was at her house and we were cuddling, which was all we had done at this point, and I tell her to say truck. She does. I proceed to grab her bobs and say honk, honk while I squeeze. I still cringe at that one at night. I sung I Can Be Your Hero Baby by Enrique Iglesias over the phone before I asked her out. The kicker to it all was I had never met her in person yet. It was my best friend's GF friend. It worked out okay. She said yes, and we dated for a month or so, but I wish I could go back and punch former me in the face. This one's a two-parter. Dated a co-worker at a certain department store for like a month. She never seemed to be available, always busy since we had conflicting schedules. So one day I got fed up and kissed her by surprise in the stockroom. Mistake number 1. She was flattered at first, but then realization set in. I kissed her at our workplace and she mentioned the stockroom cameras and she scooted away for the rest of the day. Later that day, we text. I tell her I just need to see her more often. I keep asking what days/times but get nowhere, and then I asked her for her work login WTF so I could just check her schedule and tell her when we should meet. No response. The next day I find out she got moved to women's clothing because they needed the help. A couple days later I get her text saying she needs space and time alone and all that, and it all made sense suddenly just how naive I had been. While driving my daughter's first boyfriend home after school one day, he looks at the clock and says, "At 4:20, I gave him a weird look. The car was silent for 5 minutes. Then I looked at the clock and said, at 4:25 and shot him another weird look. Dumbus." Now ex-girlfriend, and I had sex for the first time. She turned to me and said, "I think I'm in love with you." I was caught off guard, so I joked and said, "You're not supposed to say that after sex." Laughed and tried to have sex again with her. I will always cringe at that memory. We used to give little and very random sentimental gifts to each other. For example, Squirtle was an inside joke thing between us, so over time he would give me Squirtle related things, a Pokemon card, a little Squirtle toy, etc. I remember filling up a little mason jar with many tiny origami stars, each with a reason why I loved him. He read all of them, but because our relationship was very low-key and hidden from our family's middle school days, he couldn't bring it home and hide it from his nosy family. So after unraveling each star, he put the papers back into the jar and gave it back to me to take home. Waste of time and very cringe looking back. Edit 1. These comments are really sweet, but I said it was a waste of time because has and as now. My first real relationship was in college, and I was dating a guy I had met not all that long ago, maybe just a few months prior. I lived in the dorms but he didn't, and there were some times when he would come to my dorm room in the afternoon and we would take a nap or just sit around talking. The first time he came to my room, we had just started dating, and he was hesitant about sleeping in the same bed with me, so he asked what I would rather do. I got upset that he didn't want to just sleep in the same bed right away because we're dating right now, and he accepted, but I could tell he would have been more comfortable sleeping in separate beds. I still remember exactly what I said because it was so embarrassing in hindsight. I did a lot of other super cringy things back then. Tried to kiss him while he was sleeping, drunk texted him, gave him tons of gifts and handmade stuff trying to get him back. After he broke up with me a few weeks later, I was really immature and childishly selfish about relationships for a long time. Keeping track of the months and having a small anniversary of sorts every month. Holy crap, did I realize it was cringeworthy after a while. Had a teenage drama meltdown which involved hysterical crying, threatening to harm myself, and getting people to take sides when he broke up with me and kinda hooked up with his best friend as revenge. I'm cringing as I type this, and if you are reading this, either of you, I'm really sorry. I was an immature kid who acted like a massive bitch. I regret what I did and what I put you through. We are all adults now, but I'm still ashamed of that chapter in my life. Oh boy, I win this one. He broke up with me when I caught him talking to other guys online using a dating profile that had pictures of the two of us but me cropped out, or pictures that I took. So I thought I could win him back by handcrafting a Legend of Zelda, his favorite game, treasure chest that had an MP3 player and a speaker built in, and it had a Triforce as the controlling buttons. It played music from the game and his favorite songs from Wicked the musical. Here is the cringe part. 1. We were only together for a month. 2. I mailed it to his house 3 months after we broke up, and I said I made it for his birthday while we were dating, and I figured he should have it. Except his birthday was like 10 months away. 3. I didn't actually know his address. He never told me, so I looked up the company where his dad was a CEO so I could get his full name, which I didn't know, and looked it up online and found his home address. 4. I spent $250 on that music box. 5. I signed the card I put in there. A friend, he must have thought I was a freaking serial killer, holy shoot.